Morning. So I'm going to keep trying to train myself to be able to still work while I talk to you. And although I'd like to still continue to call this, PWH, horsing around with PWH, I think it's also going to go in my thinking out loud playlist because a lot of the stuff that I do talk about is just like what I would be thinking about if I was in my stalls, cleaning my stalls by myself, not thinking that anybody would ever hear what I have to say. And it's usually where I come up with some of my better creative things, my better, um, the way I word things seems to happen better when nobody's listening. So I'm just going to kind of let you be a fly on the wall while I work. This morning, I've done this subject before, but I don't know if I ever actually did a video or if I wrote it or whatever. But I have a young mare who really isn't sure about humans. And we're getting there, but I'm really taking my time with her because she's very unsure. She had a couple stages when she first got here where she thought to go into fight mode, and I don't want her to ever feel like she has to pin her ears and threaten to bite. Or she's threatened to bite a couple times, and she's threatened to I don't want to say kick. She's just like told me to talk to the tail a couple times. So, but she's otherwise extremely sweet. So all those things are just her not knowing how else to process my interaction with her. They're not. She's not lining me up because she's just here comes a human and I hate humans, or here comes this lady and I hate this lady. She's not like she doesn't see me and then try to line me up. She waits until something confuses her, and then sometimes, not as much anymore, but sometimes would have a defend myself immediate response to that. So my goal with a horse like that is to um, try to bond with them in a way that's comfortable for them. So she's not the kind of horse, like some horses you can just, kind of overwhelm with your in their face affection, and they just kind of either eat it up or they learn to just accept it. Her, my goal is to never let her want me to leave. Ooh, never want her to want me to leave. Because if I ever stay so long that she wants me to leave, the next time I come in, she's not going to want me to come, right? So that's how you can create a horse that walks away from you as opposed to a horse that comes to you. So I never want her, I always want to leave her questioning, that's it, you know? I always want her to keep looking as I walk away. I always glance over my shoulder when I walk away from a horse that I'm working on that kind of thing with to see if they're watching me leave with their ears forward, or if they've been, taking a sigh of relief and are already back to putting their head down in their hay or grazing in the grass or whatever. I always look to see what my feedback is. Was my visit well received? Did my visit leave them wanting more? Are they curious why I'm leaving? And are they going to look forward to my next visit? A horse that watches you leave with their ears forward, and even if they have a pile of yummy hay right at their feet, they would assume watch you leave before they would go back to grazing, or, go back to eating their hay or grazing. And that's the horse that you've left interested in why you're leaving already. And that's the horse you've left looking forward to the next time you come. But on the flip side of that, you can easily outwear your welcome with a horse that's not sure it even has an interest in bonding with you. And you know what? There are some breeds who never get there. I know that my experience with a lot of thoroughbreds has been, the thin skin. They don't really like, a lot of affection. And I'm not saying all of them, so anyone who's going to say, well, my thoroughbred, but a lot of them, in my experience, have not really been, big cuddle bugs. More have been, I like hanging out on my terms, and I would love to hang out with you, but I really need you to not be climbing all over me with your love, because I'm thin-skinned, and I really don't find affection enjoyable. So it's kind of like, I'm not trying to stereotype a breed, but it's kind of like known in the thoroughbred breed. This little girl, she just doesn't have any information. So my goal is to give her the information that people are okay, and this people is particularly okay. And I want her so badly to see me, which I have certainly created that. I want her to see me and not automatically know me to be a provider, okay? Because sometimes people, teach their horse to come to them at the gate through the use of cookies, right? Or a bucket of grain. And they think their horse loves them. Look, he comes running to me. No, he's coming running to the provider. He knows that you provide. So whether it's they know you provide them for the transportation from turnout to the barn so they can get their dinner or breakfast, or they know you provide them with treats, or they know you provide them with something positive that they want that's so unrelated to the connection with you. I want my horses to see me and run to me because they actually want to be with me, not because of what I'm going to give them or do for them. Now, don't get me wrong. If what they come to me for is because they know that I'm going to provide them with a very, affectionate experience, then yeah, I do want them to want to come to me for that thing that I'm going to provide. Absolutely. But as far as, their basic needs or things that we don't really have much, it doesn't scream value to us that they want to be with us because I've got a pocket full of cookies. Like that, to me, they're not interested in me. They'd be interested in the pocket full of cookies. I don't like to create those kind of relationships because, you don't know why. It's like people who have a lot of money, right? And you've got a lot of friends. You meet these, or you hear stories about, say, like a pop artist or something like that, who will say, after you become famous, you just don't know who your friends are. People that you didn't know crawl out of the woodwork, people, that kind of thing. So I don't want to ever wonder why my horses are my friends, why my horses want to be with me. I want it to be because I know they really want my attention and want to be with me. So the trick, very long explanation here. The trick is to always stay until just before they're going to ask you to leave. Just before. If you stay when they start to contemplate how to ask you to leave, you stay too long. If you stay just before it crosses their mind that they really aren't into you staying much longer, then you can create this moment of, wait, that's it? But if even if the thought crosses their mind to want to leave, you've blown it. And you could blow it forever, to be honest with you. I mean, it could be something that if you do it a couple times in a row and you always stay till they're asking you to leave, or even till they're just thinking about how should they get you to leave, should they leave, if they think about, leaving you, or if you've allowed, I say allowed, or if the horse has chosen to leave you before you had a chance to leave him yourself, that's not going to create the positive experience you're trying to create. It'll create an experience of, well, you ever talk to somebody on the telephone? I'm definitely the person, I think people see my number and then they look at the clock and see how much time they actually have. Because I can just run from subject to subject to subject and, have started to call for, like something specific. Like, hey, can I run this past you? And then next thing you know, like an hour and a half later, I can sense, people. I'm lucky enough that I do have people that just kind of keep going about their business with me on the phone with them. But, I'm known to be that person who, once you get me on the phone, you might have a hard time getting me off. And I outwear my welcome. I should use my I should use my own advice and not outwear my welcome and make people glad I'm calling instead of making people see my name come up on their caller ID and be like, oh, do I have time for this? Because I'm beyond certain, nobody's ever said it, but I'm beyond certain that's what happens. People see my name come up on their caller ID and they contemplate whether or not they have time to talk to me because they know it's not going to be a quick conversation. And it's a bad habit of mine, but I found myself much more social being than I ever thought I was. But anyway, by example, you don't want to do that to your horse. You don't want your horse to be checking his clock to see if he's got time for your visit. Because if he doesn't think he does, those are the horses that are going to learn to walk away when they see you. Those are the horses that are going to put their phone back in their pocket when they see your name on the caller ID. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, my mission with this little horse, I should do more videos of her. Fortunately, most of these experiences I have are like in the dark. So like I turn the lights on in my barn after the horses are all out because I don't like, horses don't understand, oh, if I just keep my eyes slightly closed, the light won't hurt my eyes. And I really have a strong sadness, I should say, when I watch the horses, try to blink out a sudden light. And I don't like doing that to them if I can avoid it. And I can see pretty well in the dark, so I don't turn the lights on until I've gotten all the horses out. This way their eyes don't have to change because they go out in the dark. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Their eyes don't have to change from the dark of the barn to bright light to the dark of outside. I just let them kind of stay in the, pupil adjustment that they've already been dealing with. Not sure where I was going with that. Oh, so much of these kind of experiences I have with Daisy are in the dark, so I can't really get good video of that. But this morning, I'll be honest with you, this morning, she let me face hug her. I've been close to being able to face hug her, but she has not been comfortable enough with me literally like hugging her head. And the way I do it is there's kind of like a dish under their eye to the bridge of their nose. There's kind of a little dish there. And I often will their eye will sit in the dish of my nose, the bridge of my nose. And I'll lay my face into that space where their eye is right here. And not that they have a good vision of me up close like that, I don't think, but I get a certain kind of eye contact that, for whatever reason, is very relaxing to a horse if they allow it. And once they allow it, then they seek it. Like all my horses love hugs. All my horses love face hugs, where I'll literally hug their entire cheekbones. I'll go under the throat latch of their head. Their nose will be in my belly button. And I'll lay my head in that particular dish. And once they like it, they love it. They look forward to it. And I got my first face hug on her today. Unfortunately, like I said, it's in the dark. You're not going to get to see that. But if I can get her to crave that, then I'll be able to have that anytime I want, in daylight, whatever. And then I'll show you what I mean. I can show you what I mean with my other horses. All my other horses love face hugs. Love them, love them, love them. All of them. I don't have a single horse that doesn't want a face hug. And Dewey, I've face hugged him since he was 2 months old. So that he's not like, Dewey's a totally different, she was 3.5. So, she has preconceived ideas of humans, whatever her contact had been, right? Him, he was just, fresh fresh slate. So I don't have to like find bonding techniques with him. I don't have to delicately get to know him. But I do have to delicately get to know her, and it's very important to me. Um, she's been here now 2 months, and some people would think, well, isn't that long enough? Couldn't you have gotten more bonded with her? Then I'm very bonded with her. She trusts me. She will do anything for me. If I pointed her towards fire, she would go through fire for me. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking now for her to crave my affection and to crave my attention and to see me and go, oh, good, here she is, and not because, oh, good, here she is, we're going to go in and get our breakfast, or depending on the time of the year, oh, good, we're going to go in and get our dinner. I want her to see me and go, there she is. Oh my gosh, she's going to love me. Like, my horses all, like, if I take their halter off, they expect to have a moment with me. They don't just rip their heads out of the halter and take running off after their friends. And, even the last horse going out, when there's a bunch of other horses already out ahead of them, my horses don't, yank their heads out of the halter and take off. And I run the risk of getting that celebratory kick. And believe me, I see that a lot. Not my own horses, but I see that a lot at farms when people turn their horses loose. And, the horse doesn't even barely get out of the halter before they're taken off running, and often throw up a kick right before they officially leave the general human space. My goal is to get her to see me and say, oh my God, but I want her to ask. That would even be better. All my horses ask for hugs. Every one of my horses will ask for a hug. I want her to even ask. She asks for scratches now, which is kind of cool. But this is the first face hug I got on her. So I would be curious to see when she's going to start asking for face hugs. That's when I'm going to feel like, I'm there. I accomplished my mission to break her out of her shyness and her discomfort. And that's all I care about, is if she feels that there's comfort to be found with me.